I do graphic design for the Bullock Museum, and I work on the exhibitions. I help put together the visuals for the exhibitions that they put on, along with the marketing and the advertisements and anything visual that a museum would need to kind of produce. Part of my response to just being on the computer all the time for work was that I wanted to get physical with my hands and start building things, start making things, and that's kind of why I got into ceramics, and along with plants too. This is about 50 pounds of clay, and I'm going to cut out a chunk and form it into a ball. So you cut it with a wire cutter. And I always weigh all my clay in order to find out how much I'm actually getting. So right now I'm throwing one of my medium pots, and that's around 3 pounds and 10 ounces. I just like building things, and I don't know why, it just feels very natural to me to kind of just keep busy with my hands at all times. I was getting really into plants, and I was studying them, I was researching them, I was trying to figure out what plants are my favorite, because we all have our favorites. I started first just painting terracotta pots, and I didn't have the skills to go into ceramics, so I would just buy terracotta pots and just paint them in very graphic ways. And then I was like, okay, I think I can move on to ceramics, and I took a class at Laguna Gloria. Here we have our prepared ball of clay. And you have so much control in the computer, and then you kind of, out of that experience, you are with ceramics and you don't have as much control. It's kind of like you let yourself go a little bit, and it's like, okay, well, what are my hands going to produce today? I flatten the bottom, just make sure it's all compressed. Am I tired? Okay, it'll kind of come out in that form. So you kind of have to let go a little bit, and that's a really nice experience for me.
Young Cat Luna's the self-appointed quality control manager.
This is about the shape that I like. Now at this point I'll kind of see how tall it is. I like to try to make my stuff consistent. And I'm looking for about 5 inches. That's about 5 inches. So I'll start widening the pot now. The plant will, in my mind, always be the star, and the supporting cast is the ceramic, and I want the ceramic to kind of either contrast the shape or the form of the plant, or I want it to enhance it.
It all started with the plants, especially when James got into the art of propagation. He germinates seeds indoors where new life from plants to ceramics begins.
It's a south-facing window, and I can usually draw the blinds a little bit, and it just diffuses nicely, and the plants seem to love it. There's 3 stages to glazed pottery. This is called greenware. This has not been fired at all. And you'll know that it's greenware, that it's very quiet, doesn't make any sound. This is called bisqueware, and this has been fired once. The water has evaporated out of the pottery, and essentially now it makes this sound. It's very, very sturdy. It's almost essentially pottery because it's already been fired once. What it doesn't have and what it lacks is glaze. And this is a final output. This is all the same clay as well. So the clay will change colors once it gets fired as well. So this is the process of trimming. After you throw your pot, you let it dry, and you get it to this point called leather hard. And it's this somewhat dry, somewhat wet part where it still holds its shape. You know, it's not collapsing, see I can do that. But you can still cut into it. So there's still a lot of moisture in this. You anchor it down. I usually use pieces of clay. See, I'm telling you. And because I make planters, I always add a hole for drainage. And I'll go in and kind of work on the foot, which is this part, and this is the part that keeps the pot level. There's a lot of waiting involved with ceramics. You're waiting for things to dry, you're waiting things to fire, for things to cool down, you're waiting for things to get to leather hard, which is this state that it's in right now, where you can trim it. If I did this, you know, just a few hours after I threw it, it'd be a mess. It'd be clay, wet clay everywhere. So these are my two stamps that I have. One is a cactus, which is kind of my little logo, cactus and a moon. And then I have my name, which is Botanical. So ceramics is a craft that will let you know if you're rushing it. This is what happens when you rush the process, you know, it will fight back. Essentially, there's still water trapped in it when I put it in the kiln, and the steam inside the clay is what makes this explode. So this is the process of glazing. Here is my bucket of dippable glaze. And what I normally first do is I start mixing it. So I get all the different minerals together and homogenized. This is bisqueware. This has been fired once already, and it is very, very dry. So it'll accept the glaze very quickly. Certain colors fire better than others. Pinks are really hard to get. They tend to fire off. They get burned quickly.
To show how to cultivate, propagate, and display plants, James launched his artistic website and blog, Botanical.
I think it's a lot of fun to check out other people's processes and to learn from them and to see, okay, they did that way, or, you know, I didn't think about doing it that way. I wanted to kind of give back because I've gotten so much from them. I called it Botanical because this whole thing kind of started out on the internet. It started for me just sharing my plants and my ceramics on the internet, and Bay is this kind of word that came out of the internet, which was short for babe or baby, which, you know, my plants are my babies, and I kind of just merged it together and came up with Botanical.
A demand to own his custom-made containers led to Botanical's online store.
There's been late nights where I've been doing this. I'm like, why am I doing this so late? The greatest joy that I'm getting is seeing other people's plants in my pots and seeing the ideas that they put into it, and that's always a really nice experience.